Why then did the government announce that millions of people over the age of 70 may have to be isolated for as much as 4 months? Why did they announce that through an anonymous briefing to a political editor, a political journalist, and not the Prime Minister standing at a lectern, or yourself or the Health Secretary speaking to the public directly? Why is public health policy being given to the public via anonymous briefing?
That's just not true. If you look at the action plan, which was published at the beginning of this, it's literally written in there, so it's just not true, that accusation. But also, I mean, I would say it's useful before we're actually asking over 70s to isolate. My parents, for example, in their 80s, my father 88, I was speaking to them this weekend and helping them to set up an online shopping account so they can get their groceries delivered. It's practical and helpful for people to know what's coming down the line, which is why it was written in the action plan itself, in order that they can get themselves prepared. And
unfortunately, look, my mother, for example, hasn't had the opportunity to read the action plan. My mother discovered that she may very well have to spend 4 months in her own home, away from her family, through an anonymous briefing to a political journalist. Now, we heard from the Health Secretary at the weekend the following. Let's just have a quick listen to this.
But just to be crystal clear on the elderly, the government will be asking the over 70s to self-isolate, potentially for a period of months, at some point in the future.
That is in the action plan, yes, and we'll be setting it out with more detail when it's the right time to do so, because we absolutely appreciate that that is a very big ask of the elderly and the vulnerable, and it's for their own self-protection.
Made it absolutely clear that he does not feel that that was the right time to talk about it, the right time to provide detail on that particular piece of public policy. A large part of the strategy instead emerged on a blog, on a Facebook post written by a political journalist and not from a lectern. So again, I ask, do you think that the government is completely in control of the way in which it is informing the public?
I'm afraid I can't be in control of every blog that a political journalist decides to write, but what I do know is, as the Health Secretary just said, it's actually in the action plan, which was widely covered by the newspapers at the time, including that point. And I think it is useful for you and me, people with elderly parents and relatives, to be able to prepare them. This is what it is. I mean, I can't tell you otherwise. This is a big national effort required for an international crisis, and people will need to prepare in that way. That's why we're moving to daily press conferences from today as well. But our approach is to be completely open with it, publish all the information, all the background, and try to give people the best possible advice as we pull together as a nation to defeat this thing.